Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic is all about how to answer an applied question. This is something important, and this is something students have been asking about. I understand the stress level of students. Spring 2020 is a different semester, right? It's extraordinary semester rather, and the classes they have not been conducted properly. There were many connectivity problems over the Zoom, and there was, no physical interaction with the students. Students cannot ask as much questions as they have to ask in their classes. So I've been receiving many calls and many queries about applied question formats. What kind of applied questions are, what are their formats, and what kind of responses usually these questions demand from the students. So I thought it better that I should develop a comprehensive presentation answering these concerns of the students, and that this presentation would be helping you out in your upcoming exam. Your exam that would start, within a couple of days. Whether it has been started, many disciplines of the university they are appearing in the paper. So luckily you're getting more times because Lyallpur Business School is a bit late in the date sheet. So I have prepared a presentation, and let me share my screen. And of course I would upload this video over the portal or over the YouTube, so you can view it over and over, and you can develop a better sense of understanding with applied question formats and overall the paper, because in this exam you are going to face applied questions, right? So it is important. Let me share the screen, and let's start here. Right, how to answer an applied question. That's the topic. It's presentation by me. Right, let's start it right away. What is applied question? You people might have many questions in your mind that what is applied question? It's not new. You have been facing this kind of questions in your exams, like in your first, second, and third semester, because this is a typical semester where you'll be facing only applied questions. Applied question is mere an application of the concept learned during the course, right? This is something, the application of your concept. Of course, during your class, over the Zoom or on the campus, you have been learning many concepts. Your instructor, your supervisor, your teacher that has been teaching you many different concepts. And this is application of that concept. Simple. It sounds difficult, but it's tricky, in fact. But applied question, the name is bigger. It would be a difficult question to answer. It's not that difficult. It's a bit tricky. If you understand the question rightly, you can respond it really perfectly. Third one is, it might have no perfect answer. You have to only justify yours. Good thing about the applied question, because this may not have any perfect question, any exact and compact question, compact answer for the question. One question that can have more than one answers. You might have different answer choices in your mind responding to an applied question. So whatever you are responding, whatever you are giving your answer, they must be logically supported. If you can support your answer logically, so they would be okay. They would be correct. So there is no perfect answer for this question. So there is margin. You can write your mind, you can write your heart, whatever you understand about the question, you can present the answer, you can pose the answer, you can respond it your way. Going to the next slide. General guidelines. Here are a few general guidelines that would help you to respond the applied question, that would help you to understand the applied questions, or the nature and the format of applied questions, and they would of course make you at ease understanding this kind of questions. First of all, don't panic yourself with applied question statement, right? Stay cool, stay calm. Applied question is something not dangerous at all, so don't panic yourself. Feel easy. Number two, read the statement over and over again. recommended readings are 3 to 5 times. So this is really good technique. You can read the statement multiple times, right? Whenever you read, you develop a better sense of understanding. So recommended reading is 3 to 5 times. Number 3, try to relate it with the concepts you have already gone through in the class, campus, or Zoom. Of course, the applied question that is coming from the same concepts that you have gone through in your classes. No matter your class was on campus, no matter your class was over the Zoom, or any medium of instruction that was being used by the instructor and the students. So this is nothing out of course. Remember, everything is within the course outline, and everything is what that has already been discussed in the class with your people. Number 4, focus the marks in time available for a particular question. Of course, this is important. You have to keep in mind the total weightage of the question and the time available for that question. For example, you're attempting a question that carries 6 marks. So you can roughly spend 20-25 minutes for that. If there is a big question and that carries 10 marks, you can spend 40 minutes for that, right? If you are attempting a question that carries 4 marks, so you cannot spend more than 12, 13 or the 15 minutes responding to that question, because ultimately that would give you the 4 marks only. If luckily you could score maximum 4 scores. So you need to manage your time according to the weightage of your question. Next, make a clear strategy to attempt the question right in the beginning. This is important. Whenever you face a question, whenever you have understood the question, you need to devise a strategy in your mind, responding to that question. That's important. Your planning to attempt the question, your strategy to respond to the question, that really matters. Next, you have roughly 25 minutes to respond to a question. You can utilize the time. Of course, you would face 5 questions on average on the paper, and each question that would carry 6 marks. So you would have 2 hours, 120 minutes to respond to these questions. Fine. So I have distributed the time per question that would help you to manage your time and to make a perfect answer. Number 1 is 2 to 3 minutes to read and understand the question statement. So first 2 to 3 minutes you would spend understanding your question statement, right? In these 2 to 3 minutes you can read 3, 4 and up to 5 times to develop an ultimate sense of understanding with your question. Because if you cannot understand the question, of course you cannot respond it the way it requires. Number 2, 2 to 3 minutes making an outline to attempt a question on scratch paper. You can use the rough paper or the scratch paper, and you can utilize 2 to 3 minutes to draw an outline responding to these questions. This is how these would be the the main points, and this is how you would open your question, and this is how you would come up with these kind of main points and logics, and this is how you would wind up your question. So draw an outline for your response. They will really help you to make a compact answer and a smart answer. Number 3 is writing time is 17 minutes. You would have 17 or 18 minutes that would be spent really on writing your response or your answer. And in the end, you would have 2 minutes for proofreading. Proofreading is really, really important. This would help you to edit your answer. This would help you to make your answer error-free. So you would eliminate your shortcomings, your mistakes whenever you proofread it. So never skip this. Make sure you are proofreading your answer, your response. So this is how your 25 minutes are gonna be distributed and gonna be spent, making an answer to an applied question, right? Next is a perfect response usually has 3 parts. 1 is introduction, second one is explanation, and third one is conclusion. So your answer, we can roughly distribute or divide your response into 3 bigger parts. 1 is introduction. So that's how you would open your response, explanation. I mean, you would give the main headings and maximum logics, you know, whatever you are writing, you would support it logically, practically. So there would be explanation. And the last portion of your question, or last portion of your response, so your answer, there would be conclusion. This is how you would conclude your findings, your response, your position, right? And this is how you wind up your question. So this is important. When paper checker sees all these things on the paper, of course, his response for the marking, that converts into positive one, and they would of course give you a bigger score. Next one is this is a general question in your mind. Who can attempt an applied question perfectly? Right. I mean, who is that student that is going to attempt or respond an applied question very perfectly? Answer is very simple. It has some prerequisites. One is one who has taken all classes carefully or must have gone through the recorded lectures repeatedly. Of course, the student that has been taken, all classes on campus or Zoom, that would have a better sense of understanding with the concept, with the course, because there was regular, because there was, in connection with his teacher. Or if you have listened multiple times the recorded material, whatever your instructor has made available for you. So of course, listen that material, watch that material over and over again. So your concept's clarity, you must have achieved. Right. Having nice logical and practical understanding with the concept. Of course, because this paper is applied, so you must have a logical and practical understanding with the concept. Because the business management, business administration is all about, the practical studies, is all about the application of concepts. Right. So if you have the experience and your exposure is better and your observation skills are good, right? And you understand your concepts logically, so that would be easy to, understand the question statement and respond accordingly. Having better writing skill, this is an, added skill of a student, of a candidate. If you can respond an applied question, the way that you can translate your ideas into your words, right? So, the better writing skills, the transformation or the translation of concepts into words that really help you write the perfect answer. Conventional question. It always begins with what, why, which, how, explain, summarize, and discuss. So this is a typical bookish conventional question. So these questions, start with or begin with these kind of, words. So what is advertising? Define advertising. What is supply chain management? What is consumer behavior? Which are the main elements? Which are the basic steps? So these are the words, a typical language, for a conventional bookish question. But of course, in this exam, you're not going to have any question like this, right? Your entire question format is applied. Conventional question examples. Here I have presented two questions. These are the typical bookish questions. Question number one, this is from the advertising management context. So what are the main contents of a typical advertising plan? Briefly discuss all of them, right? The simple question, I'm talking about the advertising plan, what are the different parts or contents of the person who has gone through the advertising plan and that knows the different, steps, the different parts, different contents of advertising plan. You will, straight away write down different contents of advertising plan, and this is how you would deal with this kind of question. Question statement number two, what do you mean by supply chain network? How many are the total players in it? Explain the individual role of all. So this is again, the context of question number two is supply chain management, because I'm teaching, these two courses to the final semester students. So what is supply chain? Of course, this is supply chain network. This is the definition of supply chain network. And these are the players that collectively, design supply chain network. And what is their role in the supply chain network? So this is how you can respond to these questions. Now, applied questions. What could be the format or what could be the example of applied question? Now here we start. Suppose you are assistant brand manager at Honda Atlas. Your immediate boss is asking you to prepare an advertising plan for an electric motorbike going to be launched newly in Pakistan. Motorbike can run at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour and can travel up to 50 kilometers with single recharge. It is soundless with lowest maintenance costs as compared to a petrol bike. So this is the format of a applied question, right? It does not start with what, right? Rather, it is giving you a situation. Rather, it is asking you to write like you are a brand manager or assistant brand manager, like you're doing some job, like you are assisting some boss, fine, and you are encountered with a certain practical problem or opportunity. Right, so your approach there should be practical, your approach should be managerial one. Fine. So what is the story? Story is very simple. Because you're working in Honda Atlas and your boss is asking you to develop an advertising plan. So your task is to develop an advertising plan for what? And the product is electric motorbike. Electric motorbike is going to be launched for the first time in the market. And the salient features of electric motorbike that's given, that can run up to 70 kilometers per hour. It's the speed of the motorbike, and it can travel up to 50 kilometers with a single recharge. Once you have charged the battery, of electric motorbike, and it can travel you up to the 50 kilometers, right? It is soundless, right? And its maintenance cost is very low as compared to the petrol bike. So the main features are given, and the scenario or the context or a situation or circumstances, of the product that's been given to you, and you are demanded to develop a advertising plan for this. So this is applied question. So if you know this is advertising plan, these are the main contents. So you need to translate that bookish concepts into practical one, right? And you would start answering your question. Example 2. You are a regular user of Head and Shoulders shampoo. You buy it every time from a retail store very conveniently. Think of its supply chain. How has this been made available for you? Design its entire value chain, highlighting the importance of all entities involved. Right. So this question is from supply chain management. This question is all about the supply chain network. But now the question format is different. The question context is different. And that is again giving you a situation that is again about a particular product, which is Head and Shoulders shampoo. So how to respond to this question? You must know that Head and Shoulders shampoo is a product of Unilever, right? Unilever is an English brand, right? And what are you going to ask for? You're going to design its value chain network or the supply chain network. So you are always buying it, from the retail store, from the convenience store that is near to you, that is available everywhere. So, but the production of Head and Shoulders that's being taken place, in Karachi or somewhere else, and the product has traveled from Karachi up to your doorstep, up to your street, and up to the nearby areas of your residence. So you would practically start thinking, so this is how the shampoo was traveling from that point to this step. So this was the entire value chain. And I have been purchasing this shampoo since many years, very conveniently around me. So your approach is different now, responding to this question. In fact, both questions, they were asking the same thing. The previous example, they was asking you to develop an advertising plan, right? Conventional question was again about the same thing. And the question number 2, example number 2, from the conventional question and applied question, both are asking you about the supply chain network, the supply chain or the value chain. So you have to respond differently. So in case of electric bike, you must understand, because what should be the price of electric bike, right? This is a great opportunity because it is going to be launched for the first time, right? and what would be the heavy users segment for the spy. Right? Because I mean it is soundless. It means it is more user friendly, environment friendly. Right? And its maintenance cost is low. It means this is economical bike. Right? And you're supposed to develop entire pricing plan. It means you have to utilize different media choices to announce, to promote, because this is something new that is going to be launched for the first time in the market. So you would utilize what kind of electronic media, what kind of print media, what kind of outdoor media you would utilize, what should be the price, what would be the major target segments, and this is how you would ultimately set your pricing objectives. These were the product features, and this was the major target audience, and this is how you would plan your pricing media mix or the communication mix for your product. And same as the case with Head and Shoulders shampoo. You would start studying the entire supply chain or the value chain that helps Head and Shoulders to be manufactured somewhere else and to be available at the doorstep of your consumer. So this is how when you shift your thinking from a typical context to an applied context, they would start helping you to respond an applied question the way it demands from you. Next is very important. There are few don'ts and there are few do's responding to an applied question. Number one, the first don't is don't use bookish definition of the concept responding to an applied question. So you are not asking to reproduce the definitions. No way at all. So don't write the definition of advertising in the first context. Don't write the definition of supply chain network in the second context. No way. Be as practical as you can. This is the first due. So your approach, they should be as practical as they could be. Second don't is don't write long stories. Of course, the applied questions never demand you to write the long stories. Don't think that you are using extra sheets and you were writing the long stories and you would get bigger score. No way. Make your concept clear. Right. Come up with your own, be clear. Sorry, this here is point two. Be clear, specific, straightforward, and focused. And your answer, they should be clear, specific, straightforward, and focused. Long stories are not expected from you because it's the type question. You are facing a certain problem. You are facing a certain situation and you are expected to respond that situation, right? So better to be straightforward, clear, and specific. Number three is don't try to cheat. You can consult your classmate, you cannot consult the book because of course none of your book that contains a pricing plan of a motorbike and none of your book that contains the supply chain network for Head and Shoulders shampoo. So come up with your own logical and smart response. So you need to design your response. You need to develop your response. So that should be logical and smart enough to satisfy, the your answer statement. Next one is disclaimer. This presentation is for BBA 8th and BBA Industrial Management 8th semester for pricing management and supply chain management because I'm teaching these two courses to these two classes. And these two students, they have been asking me over and over that they are a bit worried, anxious about, applied questions. So this is typically meant for those, right? The rest of the students, they can watch this video, but they can consult their respective teachers. Last word is responding applied question is not difficult. It could be easier, believe me. So if you develop the right approach, if you develop the right strategy answering with applied question, your question, applied question is easier than the bookish one because you don't need to learn the things by heart. You just know the main points and you would start converting your ideas into practical ones, and you would start writing. So this is easier as compared to, the bookish question. The only thing that you need, that you must think like a manager, you must think like, you know, practical, you know, overall your approach should be practical, logical, because whatever you are going to write down, there must be clearly thought, logically designed, right? Good luck to all of the students, and I hope you would have a great exam. All the best for your papers. Thank you very much. Here, I'll finish my presentation.